say go live. Okay. Okay. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunaalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. Okay. So let's look at this. So we are on the topic of Nididhyasana, and it is going to run from verse number 31 to 38. Okay. So last time, let me stop the share for the time being. Right, stop the share. Last time we saw that Nididhyasana is a process of reflection, contemplation on what we have already recognized. So it is not really a teaching. It is already recognized truth. उसके ऊपर हम हमारे मन डालते हैं. Okay. So what is the already recognized the truth? The already recognized truth is that one is free of change. Change free. I've coined a new word. You know, they used to say change less. अभी मैंने change free करा दिया. सब में free डाल दिए. Change free, limit free. Limit free means what? What are the limits we normally have? Limited in space, limited in time, limited by object. तो ये तीनों का limit नहीं है जिसमें. Okay, no limit this thing. And that I am a nameless existence. Are Bapre? Look at that. Nameless existence. What does that mean? You know, very interesting. Existence is there. It is always there. Who gives name to it? We give name to it. So existence by everything is there. River is flowing, mountain is there. You know, sky is there, space is there. Even if you don't give name to them, it is there. So existence being like that, we call it nameless existence. Okay. And this existence is not just jada, it is conscious. So existence, consciousness, and it is always present. And it is present in equal measure in everything. Sab kuch mein hai. When we look at the creation, then the same existence itself is manifest as creation. So it is equally present in everything. This is the recognition. And so Nididhyasana is spending time looking at this again and again. And why should we do this? Because we want to counter the Viparita Bhavana. Viparita Bhavana means habitual error. What is the habitual error? Taking ourselves to be body. So we saw last time, Vedanta sadhana is what? Shravana and Manana and Nididhyasana. Shravana Manana is what we are usually doing, you know, when we are listening to Shastra. Shravana means arrive at the meaning of the central teaching of Upanishads. And what is the central teaching of Upanishad? It has got only one teaching. It comes through the Mahavakya to show that the individual and Ishvara are one and the same. They are both one and the same consciousness alone. Consciousness, existence, which is change free, which is limit free, etc., etc. Okay. Now, let's go to here. Okay. Now we come here. How is this possible? This identity? And we saw in verse number 29 that it is by negating all the upadhis, okay, by negating all the upadhis, upadhis of both Jiva and Ishvara. Now, negating is a technical word in Vedanta. Negating का अर्थ है कि सत्यता नहीं देना. It is not physically that we are going to remove something, but it is not giving satyata, okay, to the upadhis. Upadhi means what? The body, the mind, these are the upadhis. And so not giving reality to that. And so verse number 29 told us that negate all the upadhis, vishidya nikhila upadhin, all the upadhis. Okay, how do you negate? Again, we come cognitively and we say, why do you negate? How do you negate? You negate because it is drishyam, meaning it's an object, and it is budbudavat sharam, it is anityam. So because of these two factors, okay, you are going to negate that it is drishyam and it is anityam iti. And therefore, Shastra is saying, recognize that you are Atma, you are that existence consciousness principle, which is free of all change, which is free of all limit. Iti, you're totally free of all the upadhis, independent of the upadhis. So this we are doing through Shravana. During the process of listening, we are ascertaining what is the meaning of Shastra. Okay? And we are coming to that, and then we use Manana. After we came to understand that this is what Shastra is saying, that Jiva and Ishvara are one and the same, it is all one consciousness, existence alone. उसके बाद हमारे अंदर डाउट हो सकती है. Typical doubt will be, how can Atma, which is the real I, how can it be independent of the body and mind? After all, मेरा तो अनुभव है कि I am the body and mind. तो ये कैसा हो सकता है कि it can be independent? So Vedanta points out that you are not what you have. Correct? Because you have a body, just like you have a shirt. So you are not the body, just like your shirt is not you. Iti. You have a mind, you are not the mind. Now, the problem is, if you believe that you are what you have, okay, then you are going to be a very, very unhappy and sad and miserable person. You will have to suffer because what you have is changing all the time. It is limited, so you will always be limited, and you don't like to be limited. You will be a sad, miserable person. So you are not what you possess. This is very important. I am not what I possess. You are different. Look at this. This simple logic, What you possess is changing all the time. Who is the one who knows it's changing all the time? You know it is changing all the time. How can you know that the change if you are the one, if you are changing all the time? If you are changing all the time, how can you know change? So Shastra is pointing out, hey, you are the changeless, nameless consciousness, existent consciousness presence. And in your conscious ever presence, all the changes are known. What kind of conscious ever presence? Changeless conscious ever presence. All changes are known. And so being changeless, you are totally different from whatever is changing, and all that you have is changing. Iti. Therefore, you are different from whatever changing, known or knowable. Okay, whatever you have, you are changing. And like this, through manana, you will resolve your doubts. Then from verse number 31, we have Nididhyasana verses. But before that, let me go back. One way of using the verses, Nididhyasana, is what I told you before. That allow your mind to become silent for a few moments. For that we need lot of practice, ऐसे तो वो silent नहीं बनती है. But then as I gave you a shortcut, you can use pranayam. When we do pranayam, our mind does become silent, right? Now, when the mind is silent, you cannot do nididhyas, you cannot reflect on the meaning of the words because there is nothing there. It's completely silent. There's no thought there. After the silence is over, you can see that the meaning of silence is yourself. I am the silence. I am that Shanti. I am that consciousness which is always Shant. Iti. So you can use the words of Nididhyasana to understand afterwards. Now, supposing you say, no, I can't enjoy these few moments of silence. मुझसे तो नहीं होगा. Because मैंने meditation ना practice किया, मैंने ना जब practice किया, मैंने कुछ नहीं practice किया. पर मैं समझा तो हूँ. Supposing you are that animal who says, I have understood, but I don't have any of these practices, so I don't know what is this silence of the mind. Then what can you do? You just dwell on the meaning of the words being yourself. That these words mean me. I, me. Okay? So me is not the body mind. Me is what these words are saying. Iti, you will dwell on it. Now, verse 31 and 32, they point out that the true I'm saying true I or Atma is independent of the body mind. That means what? It is only because of identification that one says that I am the body. The body does not say that I am the body. Body says, the body does not say anything because body is jada, it is considered totally inert. There is only one conscious entity, that is you, the consciousness, and you are lending some sentiency to the body. So body doesn't say, I am conscious. Body simply exists. It is a manifestation of that nameless existence consciousness and it is existing. It continues to exist. Now what happens is the same nameless existence consciousness manifests in the mind as the I thought and the object of the I thought. Two kinds of thoughts occur in the mind. One is the I thought and one is the object of the I thought. Whatever the I thought will objectify it. So what happens is this I thought, it goes and joins itself to the body and it says, I am the body. I am the body. This is what we call as ahamkara or adhyasa, superimposition. Because what I am is change free, changeless, change free, name free, existence consciousness. I am a conscious presence that doesn't change. I'm not the I thought. I am the true I is only the change free consciousness, not the I thought. I thought is only a thought and it is also not always there. In deep sleep, it goes away. In samadhi, it goes away. Moreover, it is known to me. So we say it is not the true I. It is not me. So look at this. Body is only an instrument. It is a gift given by Ishvara, which I use for vyavahara. Now these spectacles that I am wearing, they are an instrument. Okay. For my eyes to see a little bit better. If I take my spectacles to be me, then it would be disastrous. Similarly, body, mind is just instrument. And what is instrument I am taking as I. And therefore, and that instrument which I am taking as I is changing, it is limited. And naturally, if I take it as I am going to be a miserable being. Okay. So mind also functions as it's meant to function. And the I thought goes and joins with the mind. If there is sukha in the mind, it says I am sukhi. If there is dukkha in the mind, it will say I am dukkhi. And then it imposes on itself, says I am karta, I am bhokta. The true I is not sukhi, not dukkhi, not karta, not bhokta. So now, in verse number 33, Okay, just let me put this off. Verse number 33, it gives a lot of negating words so that we are able to recognize, okay, and stay with the knowledge that I am not what I think I am. Supposing I think that, oh, I am fair, I'm tall, I'm female, I'm this, I'm that. What immediately, these are all attributes of the body. So immediately Shastra says nirgunaha. There are no attributes in you. You are free of all attributes. I say I do a lot of actions. I am a very dharmic person. I do a lot of punyatma. I am a punyatma. I do a lot of dharmic karma. I am doing seva all the time. I am a dharmi iti. I am a one who does all good action. I do action. I don't do any bad action. I do only good action. Iti. I may have this kind of a, thought about myself. Shastra comes and tells that person, Nishkriyaha. You are one who doesn't do any action at all. This is pretty deadly, You're Nishkriyaha. Then who does the action? Iti. Okay, body does action. Mind is thinking some thought. Action is going on at the level of body and mind. The I thought went and joined with it and said, I am doing iti. Shastra is pointing out, no, you are that changeless presence, that consciousness who doesn't do any action. Iti nishkriyaha. Nityaha. Supposing I think, oh, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm sick. I'm going to die. I'm old. I'm going to die. Somebody says, oh, astrologer says, accident hone wala hai, I'm going to die. Iti. Shastra comes and says, Nityaha. You are not subject to death. You are not subject to destruction. You continue. Iti. You think, oh, I'm having all kinds of thoughts. Nirvikalpaha. Free of thought. Free of desire. Niranjanaha. I've got a lot of raga. Niranjanaha. No raga at all. Not stained at all. Iti. Nirvikaraha. Oh, I'm changing all the time. All the time my mind is changing. I think sometimes I'm like that. Hey, no, nirvikaraha. You are free of all vikara, iti, free of all change. Nirakaraha. I am of this form. I'm tall. My thoughts have got form. So many things have got form, no? Everything, if just Sabda, Swarsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, all of it has got form. Some kind of form is there. Then Shastra says, no, Nirakaraha, Nitya Muktaha, always free. Naturally, if none of this is there, then I am always free. Nirmalaha, I am always pure. Iti. Then verse 34 is again a very, which we have done, all these verses we have done. It's a very beautiful verse for Nididhyasana to stay. And here I will just take 2-3 words, say, that it shows you that, not shows you, actually we already know that, but helps you to stay with that recognition that I am Akashavat, Sarvam. I am everything. I am all pervasive. I pervade everything. Iti. Then I am change free. Achyutaha. First is Akashavat Sarvam Bahiran Antargataha. I am inside everything, equally filling everything outside and inside. Completely Purna, Achyutaha. Okay, that which doesn't change. Then this most beautiful words, Sada Sarva Samaha. Always undisturbed. In every situation, at all times, I'm always the same. Okay? Then Siddhaha, Purnaha, Nisangaha, Asangaha. One who is Asangaha, not connected, independent. Let's look at it, take a nice meaning for it, independent. I'm the one who is independent of everything. Nirmalaha, Achalaha, free of all action. Okay. Then in verse 35, we will look at only these words Ekam, Akhandam, Anandam, Advayam. Very beautiful words. Nitya Shuddha and all we know. Nitya Shuddha, Vimuktaha. And the new words are Akhandam, Anandam, Advayam, Ekam. So I am Ekam, I am one, Advayam, without a second. That means there's nothing else other than me. Okay? That's all. Because you are now, you're not even saying Brahman anymore. You're saying me. Because that me is the same as Brahman. That me is the same as that nameless existence. So you're saying Aham, Akhandam, Advayam. Okay, I am Ekam. Akhandam is again a very beautiful word. That which has no division. So I am an undivided fullness. You can say, Akhandam, Advayam, Ekam. Okay. Yeah. Okay, nothing in addition to me. That's all that is there. There is only this one existence consciousness. So that nameless existence consciousness that I am is Akhandam. It is Anandam. Anandam. That means it is full, it is whole, it is complete, partless, undivided, Purna. Okay? Anandam, you can take the meaning as Purna, that which is whole. Okay? Now coming to this verse. New verse. Okay. Evam nirantara abhyasta brahmaivasmiti vasana harati avidya vikshepad roga nivarasayanam. Now this is a very beautiful verse. Now what is being said here is vasana. Vasana means deep impression. So this impression, what kind of impression? Brahmaivasmi, that I am Brahman. This vasana, Brahmaivasmiti vasana, how is it created? Nirantara abhyasta, through repeated constant practice. An impression is created in the mind. The knowledge is there. Now, anyway, now we'll explain this. Destroys harati. What does it destroy? Avidya vikshepan. It destroys all the identifications which are caused because of ignorance. And he gives a beautiful example, just as medicine destroys disease. Okay? So now here in this verse, if we look at the word asmi, see Brahmaiva asmi. Okay? Brahma eva aham asmi. That is Brahmaiva asmi. I should have broken it up here. Brahma eva asmi. Asmi means I am. I am what? Brahma eva. I am Brahman and Brahman alone. Iti. So asmi iti. Iti means quotation marks. So the recognition is I am Brahman. And this recognition takes place. You are, supposing we go by the traditional method, you have done meditation, you have become very silent. And after the silence is over, the recognition is taking place. I am Brahman. I am that Shanta Swarupa Brahman. By nature, I am Shanta. I don't require any condition to be Shanta. That is my nature. By nature, I am Shanta Swarupa Brahman. Iti. At the moment of silence, you can't have that thought that I am Brahman. It is not going to happen. After that silence ends, this recognition, will take place. In fact, that silence is, after the silence ends, you have an opportunity to recognize. Why? Many people's mind becomes silent, but they don't have the opportunity to recognize because they have not done Shravanam. Without Shravanam, how will this knowledge take place? They have not done that Shravanam. You have done the Shravanam. So the mind has got samskara. Advaita Buddhi samskara is there in that mind. And in that mind, after the moment of silence, okay, You have opportunity to recognize that, yes, it is true, I do exist even when thought is not there. And this existence of mine is Shanta Swarupa Chaitanyam. It is consciousness whose very nature is Shanti, iti, whose nature is to be name free, form free, sound free, touch free, smell free, taste free, thought free. That thought free, form free, smell free, all no sensory perception is there. That existence, consciousness, I am that very consciousness in whose presence every form appears only to disappear again. Disappear where? Disappear into myself, into that nameless existence. Sound appears only to disappear again into me. Touch appears, that also disappears, it changes. Thought appears, that also disappears into that nameless existence, iti. So this existence consciousness is nameless, doesn't require any name to exist, it simply does. Everything in the universe exists. We give name to it. So anyway, that moment of silence can be used as an opportunity to confirm the truth which we have listened, which we have understood, which we have recognized, but we just, it goes in very deeply at that moment that I am indeed Brahman. Now, vasana, the word can lead to some confusion. Vasana means mental conditioning, mental impression. Usually it indicates an undesirable mental conditioning. So here the undesirable mental conditioning is the feeling that I am the body. It's called as Deha Vasana. Okay? Mental conditioning that I am the body. Why does it happen? Habitual identification with the body is there. Mental conditioning. So Vasana is often explained as a very deep impression. And an example is given. What happens is when water, example is given, and this is the example. When water is continuously flowing alongside a mountain, it can form a channel, you know, and then the channel of water starts to erode into the side of the mountain and it can form deep ravines, deep, deep impressions. And eventually a huge canyon also can be formed by this passage of water, like the Grand Canyon. I've given you a picture of the Grand Canyon. What is the idea? The idea is that just as a continual flow of water creates a channel in the mountain, in the same way, the continual flow of thoughts creates a mental channel, it creates a vasana, it creates a deep impression. Nowadays, modern science also agrees with this, that when we think or feel the same thing repeatedly, it literally changes the wiring of our brains. It changes the way the synapses, I don't know if you know what synapses are. Synapses are the connections in the brain, the neuron connections in the brain. So it changes the way the synapses work in our brain, leaves behind a trace, a pathway. So neuroscience says that thinking physically affects our brains. And this is proven, it's a scientific fact, not a theory. So the way you think or feel causes a physical change in your brain, which makes you think, gives you a tendency to think in the same way again. Okay? Again and again, and then you will repeat, and then that becomes the same way again and again. And so this is how mental conditioning is formed. Now, in our case, in our context here, we have a negative vasana. That means from the time that we could start thinking, maybe when we were 3 or 4 years old, maybe even earlier than that, we started identifying with our bodies. Okay, I don't know when, 3 or 4, maybe even earlier, who knows? I don't know how infants think. So as soon as we start thinking, we identify with our bodies, we identify with our mind, we identify with our senses, we identify with being a limited individual. And we have spent decades and decades like that, no? thinking that I am body, I am mind, I am my senses, I am this individual being. And so all those experiences of all those thoughts, what have they done? They have left this deep impression in our mind, very deep impression, deep vasana, and that vasana needs to be removed. So habitual identification with our body and mind is a vasana, a deep impression which needs to be removed. How will we remove that? So a senior Swamiji of our gives that example that supposing there is a farmer, okay, he's got a farm on a mountainside and he's got this river flowing right through the middle of his farm, and it has created a ravine because of which he can't plant the crops. He can't plant any crops there. So he's got this big ravine in the middle of his farm formed by this passage of water. So now what can he do to remove that flow of water? What can he do to remove, this happening and the ravine becoming deeper and bigger, etc.? What can he do to stop this so that he can reclaim his farmland? If you and me were farmer, what would we do? Now, if you're a clever farmer, what you'll do is you'll go up the mountain to where the source of the stream is, and you will dig a new channel and you will divert that water into the new channel so that it does not come into your farm anymore. No, you will make a new channel. So in this illustration, we have an undesirable channel in our farmland. It represents the undesirable vasana, the deha vasana, the habitual identification with the body and mind. How to remove that habitual identification with body and mind? How does this farmer remove that undesirable channel? By cutting a new channel into which the water will be diverted, right? In the same way, to remove the habitual identification with our body and mind, how are we going to remove? By creating a new vasana. The undesirable vasana that I am this body, I am this mind, I have to get rid of it by creating a new vasana. What kind of new vasana? Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Chaitanya Chit Swarupoham, Purnoham, Shanta Swarupoham, iti. Okay, so I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi, iti vasana. So by creating this new mental vasana, this groove, we are creating an impression in the mind, in this body, in this brain. What was the old vasana? That I am the body and mind. Now what happens when we create the new vasana? Those brain connections, those brain synapses, the neural pathways, they don't fire. The old ones don't fire anymore. The brain synapses, the neural pathways gets replaced by a new mental pathway. What pathway? I am Brahman. So in the language of neuroscience, neurons that fire together, wire together. Meaning the more repeatedly I recognize that I am Brahman, the stronger the neural pathways in the brain become. Which means we are changing the wiring in the brain. Iti. So psychologists and neurologists will agree with this, This is a very good approach to physically change one's neural pathway. Okay? They think about it like a neural reprogramming. So we are reprogramming our neurons. At a physical level, you are changing your thinking at a physical level in the brain. And for that, you have to repeat again and again and again. Other methods have now come about also, but only after trying them. But people say they work very well. I'll tell you about them later. But this is the method that we know which Shastra gives, which is the repetition, by sheer repetition. Okay, you're going to change the thinking and the subconscious and unconscious thinking, everything. It's like repeating a bad habit, by removing a bad habit by replacing it with a healthy habit. You know, I've heard of people who are smoking cigarettes. How do they stop smoking cigarette? They will replace with a better habit. What is the better habit? अपने मुंह में ये डाल दो, carrot डाल दो. When they want to smoke, your hand is going to pick up the cigarette. At that time, pick up a carrot and put it in your mouth. Okay, you get a healthy habit. It's a habit, but at least it's a healthy habit. So you get rid of an unhealthy habit by replacing it with a healthy habit. Supposing you have the habit of eating sweets, you can replace it with a more healthy habit of eating fruit. And so here you get rid of the deha vasana, the conditioned thinking, habitual thinking, the viparita bhavana, that I am the body, mind, etc. You remove it by giving a new desirable mental conditioning that I am Brahman. How to do that? Evam nirantara abhyasta brahmaivasmiti vasana. Okay? Through repetition. 30, 40, 50 years we've been thinking I am the body, mind. Maybe more, maybe lifetimes. And therefore we have to keep on repeating and establish the I am Brahma Vasana with abhyasa. Abhyasa means lot of repetition. How much repetition? Nirantara. First line mein nirantara. Nirantara means continuous. You will say, but मैं continuously I am Brahman करती रहूंगी तो मैं घर में कौन सी काम में कुकिंग कैसे करूंगी? डॉक्टर जी को पेशेंस मिलना है तो मैं पेशेंस को कैसे मिलेगा? Continually if I am going to do, I can't live my life. So one commentator says over here, Nirantara only means that for a long time. Not, throughout the day continuously all the time, but for a long time. Throughout the day you can do it whenever you remember, in between whatever you're doing, etc., etc., you can see. You're doing an action, that time also you can see that, oh yeah, this is Ahankara doing the action. I am not doing any action. Iti. So in order, okay, so it's going to take lots and lots of nididhyasana, lot of repetition. Okay, so repeatedly contemplate aham brahmasmi, and gradually establish that desirable vasana that I am Brahman. And eventually that vasana, I am Brahman vasana, becomes stronger than the I am the body and mind vasana. So in the third line we have, and when you do that, what happens? Harati avidya vikshepan. What happens? The vasana, Brahma vasana, removes all the vikshepas born of avidya. All the superimpositions that I have, all the identifications that I have, it will remove that identification born of ignorance. In the book, the translation is wrong. In the book, the translation avidya vikshepan harati will be given as it destroys the ignorance and its distractions. Here we don't agree to that because nididhyasana does not remove ignorance. Shravana removes ignorance. But even though the ignorance is removed by Shravana, strong vasana, deha vasana can be there. So better translation is nididhyasana removes the vikshepas which are born, the identifications or the disturbances, the agitations which are born of the ignorance. And they are like samskaras, no? They are sitting there as vasana. And therefore, this practice of nididhyasana will create the desirable vasana, I am Brahman vasana, and that vasana will gradually erode the I am body vasana. Okay? Okay. And Shankara gives a nice example. How does it do? How does it remove harati? How will it remove all this vikshepan? Roga nivarasayana. Just as medicine removes the roga, different kinds of illnesses are there, and for that we have medicine. In the same way, aham brahmasmi, that vasana will remove the aham deha vasana. So Nididhyasana is an antidote for Viparita Bhavana. Okay. Now the commentator says, if you have an illness and doctor prescribes a medicine, okay, he says you have to take this medicine for 30 days, 90 days, not just one dose, as long as required. For example, supposing I have cholesterol and I have to take statin. I can't just take one dose, na? मुझे तो बार बार लेना पड़ेगा. As per the doctors, this thing I will have to take that. नहीं तो cholesterol will go up and I will get heart disease. So, sometimes we may have to continue for lifetime. So too we may have to do Nididhyasana, and commentator says Chirakala, for a long time. And it's okay. It is wonderful. Na? अच्छा लगता है. I am Brahman. I am Purnaha. I am Shanta Swarupa. ये सब बोलना बहुत अच्छा लगता है. I am vast. I am all pervasive. I am vast. I am like space. Akashavat Sarvam. Bahirantastataha. So I'm the nature of. So it's nice to do this. It blesses. It is not a difficult thing to do and not a bad thing to do. It will bless us. It's wonderful. So we can continue to do that. And in the next verse, we will see Vivikta Deshe. So it should be Vivikta Desha is because a Sandhi rule has taken place here. Actually, the word is Vivikta Deshe. Vivikta Desha Asino Viragu Vijitendriyaha Bhavayete Kamatmanam Tamannantam Ananyadhihi. So Vivikta Deshe Asinaha. Sit in a solitary place. Okay. So solitary place means what? Should be, I will resign everything. I mean, sabko I will give up and go off to Rishikesh. No, not required at all. कोई केव में जाके बैठना है, not required. आराम से एक कमरे में बैठो, दरवाजा बंद करो, फैमिली को बोलो अभी मुझे डिस्टर्ब मत करो, मुझे मेडिटेट करनी है. That's all. To sit alone. Sit alone. Okay. Now, very interestingly, in this verse, we have come from first person to third person bhavayet. Bhavayet meaning one should meditate. So in this verse, in these verses, this verse is not a contemplative verse, it's more an instruction of how to do the contemplation. Okay. So you should be Vivikta Deshe Asinaha. Asina means you should be seated. Where? Vivikta Deshe, in a solitary place. Okay. And then you are Viragaha. What is your mindset? Viragaha. Free from desire. Free from desire means that you are equipped with the understanding that nothing outside is the true source of contentment, happiness, peace. बाहर की कोई भी वस्तु is not the source of contentment, happiness and peace. The true source of happiness, content and peace is not there in the world. It is me. This should be the understanding. If this understanding is there, then viraga will be there. So viragaha is the attitude of dispassion. Okay? You have got dispassion. Iti. And with that attitude, you close your eyes. And you are a vijitendriyaha. Your senses are controlled. Meaning, you have learned how to ignore distractions. नहीं तो क्या करेंगे? मेडिटेशन में बैठेंगे, 10-10 मिनट में फोन को देखेंगे, या 5-5 मिनट में आप देखोगे टाइम कितना हुआ, 15 मिनट को बैठना था, टाइम कितना हुआ. So this is a Vichitendriya is a person who has learned to ignore distraction. How did he learn? Because of practice. Okay. So having been seated in a solitary place, free from desire, senses controlled, undistracted, what should you do? Bhavayet ekam atmanam. May you meditate on what? Atma. Which kind of Atma? Ekam atmanam. Atma is only one. There is only one Atma. It is One consciousness is the fabric of existence, because of which everything else is bhavayet. Meditate on that ekam atmanam, tam anantam. That atma, that consciousness which is anantam, which is limit free. It is vast. It is all pervasive. It pervades the universe. And it is manifest in your mind and in my mind. Iti. Ananya dhihi. Ananya dhihi. Dhihi means intellect. Ananya is with focus on nothing else. That means one pointed focus. Attention is completely focused on the Nididhyasanam and Nididhyasanam alone. So it is basically referring to the attitude with which to meditate. Means you are very committed. There's complete commitment in that. So in Yoga Sutras, they call it as ekagrata. One whose mind has got no other focus. Mind is focused on one thing alone. One pointedness. And so one pointedness is a mental skill. How did you get this skill? Through meditation. It's developed over a time. So you can see the importance, and therefore we say, let us start with Japadhyanam. Japadhyanam is meditation alone. And we start with that. Very, very important. Every class, practically, I keep repeating how important it is to do japa, sitting in one place with a committed mind. Okay? Your mind frame is there. Viragaha, without distraction. Initially, distraction will be there, no problem. Keep bringing the mind back. So this kind of practice has to be there repeatedly. So this Nididhyasana will depend upon our ability to practice meditation effectively and create those few moments of silence. But it's okay. So we can start with Japadhyana. So that is the meaning of Ananya Dhihi. You have that committed practice, and ekagrata is there. Iti. How did it get cultivated? Through daily practice. Okay. So daily practice of this thing is what I recommend. Daily practice of Japadhyana. And if already you've been doing daily practice of Japa Dhyanam and you have that capacity, it's very good. Then sit for Nididhyasanam if you have recognized the truth. Yeah? Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. So good, today we finished quickly. So we have 10 minutes and if you want, you can ask me whatever you want. Right? I'm waiting. I cannot find my, that. No, this is only live. They should have, oh, that's only when I'm sharing. Okay. So any questions? Or if not any questions, any reflections, any thoughts? Want to share your thoughts? Anything? One thought is it's very difficult for Jiva Bhava to go. It's very difficult. I agree. Fully agree. Okay? Doesn't go easily. That's why Nididhyasana is prescribed. Now I can show you an easy, modern science has got new methods of putting in a new belief quickly, which I've told you before also, but I'll tell it to you once again. I don't want to tell you too soon because first you have to understand what Shastra is saying. Only after that we can do this. So if it is clear to you, at least conceptually, okay, that I am consciousness that doesn't change. At least that much may be clear. I have feeling that much, that far we would have got.
Yes, that is clear.
That is clear. Okay. but the habitual identification with body is there, right? And body is changing all the time. So using a modern method, a very modern method of this, you remember what I told you, in the brain there is a groove. We are trying to create a new groove of aham brahmasmi, or I am changeless. Simply I am changeless, or change free consciousness. We can even start with that. I am change free consciousness, with whatever we have understood, jitna bhi ho, I am change free consciousness. So there is a modern method which only I will talk about. None of the gurus will talk about, because I knock around here and there, and I'm, learning a lot of things about the mind. Huh? And that method I've told you before is a method of creating a new vritti quickly. Okay? And the method is cross your left ankle over your right ankle. It's a physical method. Then cross your right hand over your left hand. So there is a cross of left leg over the right, left over right first on the ankle, and then right hand over left, and then you catch the fist. Okay? And then all you do is keep repeating what you want to create a new vritti for. So you want to create the new vritti, I am changeless consciousness, or I am change free consciousness. So you just keep repeating that, I am change free consciousness. Initially, maybe there will be some objections coming up in your mind. Ignore it and keep on repeating, I am change free consciousness. In about 3 to 5 minutes, you will feel that it is true. Okay, yeah, I am change free consciousness, and it has got ingrained into you. Try it out. Yeah, see if it works for you. There's a way of testing it also that's called as kinesthetic, I don't remember the name. So after you do that, when you finish with that, say about 3 to 5 minutes, you keep repeating the same thing. Okay, you're going to repeat, 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 repeat. After that, remember to do this. You're putting all your fingertips together. You don't have to think anything that time. Just do it for half a minute, which is to consolidate that neural wiring. Okay, it's a wiring which will go in the whole this thing. Try it out. It's really quite incredible. Yeah, you can try. So this is a very not so new also. It's been around now for some time. And this method of, so people normally use it for changing their psychological beliefs, that okay, somebody will say, oh, I'm useless, I'm no good, and also then you will say, no, I'm very good. Yeah? So in the psychology world, they use it only for belief change from an unhealthy ego to a healthy ego. We can use it for Brahma Vidya. The same thing, because we are creating the vasana. And try it out if you feel like.
No,
Okay, anything? Huh?
Guru Maji, I will say something. No,
Ah,
even I was reading somewhere that there are very simple method to say that I am an unchanging consciousness. I mean, right from the day I was born, I was not, I didn't know at that time. When I was a child, then I became a toddler, then I became a baby, then a young man, then a middle age, now a elderly person.
yeah, that's
But
what we normally use that.
हाँ
But
तो
I'm not
they
talking about understanding cognitively. At this point, we are not talking about understanding cognitively. We are assuming you have understood.
yes.
Now it's about creating the vasana. It's about creating the deep impression so that there is a habitual identification, Ankar. We are only bothered in Nididhyasana about the habitual identification of taking ourselves to be the body mind. If I take myself to be body mind, I'm scared. I'm scared of death.
No, but that will be taken by the meditation or by japa, what you advise.
Exactly, by Nididhyasana.
By
That has to be
Nididhyasana.
taken. And here I'm giving you only a simpler method. to make it faster. Otherwise, it takes a very, very long time to change that repeated nididhyasana which one has to do over a long, long period of time. It's over a very long period of time that one would do. The new method which I'm suggesting, if you feel like you can use it, is for doing it very quickly. It can happen much faster. We do the old method of repeating, repeating, repeating. This actually changes the neural pathway very fast, which has been a finding of science now of how to do it very quickly. And so I was just suggesting that you don't have to up now it. Okay? You can use the usual method, which is just keeping on seeing that repetition, keep repeating that, keep repeating that. Sit 1 hour,
Yes.
at least minimum 1 hour, you need to sit for long periods of time, repeating the Nididhyasana statements. And you can
Nididhyasana
repeat it in simple English. You don't have to repeat the Sanskrit one. उस संस्कृत वाला का मीनिंग निचोड़ लो, उसको समझ लो, use it in your own words, whatever will be very easily understandable for you in your own words, and use that. Yeah,
all those Mahavakyas we can use in that
you can
Nididhyasana.
absolutely.
All the four Mahavakyas,
Yes,
and then contemplate on that.
and
And
the four Mahavakyas, provided you know the meaning.
meaning,
Blindly following the Mahavakyas will not work. One knows immediately when you say, in that, when you say Prajnanam Brahma, you know the meaning of Prajnanam, you know the meaning of Brahma. So in each I am Atma Brahma, you know the meaning of what is I am Atma and what is Brahman. When you know the meaning, then you can definitely do. And if the
yes,
Sanskrit doesn't make much sense to you, then you can change it to your own, local language meaning, or change it to your own English meaning and use that meaning and do. The point
yes,
is, the Viparita Bhavana is to be removed.
right.
And repetition is one of the methods which can be used. Okay, repeated, repeated, repeated. Yeah. After all, you think of it, in 24 hours in a day, 16 hours we are awake, and in 16 hours we are transacting with the world with that Dvaita Buddhi, which is, so that our Jiva Vasana goes on, gets strengthening without any corresponding, introduction of any other thought. Therefore, Nididhyasana is important.
No, Guru Bhanji,
Contemplation
but
very
in
much.
Vyavharik life, we have to now the sun is setting and sun is rising. But I know in the back of mind that it doesn't rise or doesn't set, you see, because it is stationary.
Yeah.
So similarly, if I have got in the mind that I'm an unchanging consciousness, probably whatever Vaprit Bhavana is there, that is there in the Vyavharik life. I will say that I am eating, I
But
am
then you
doing
don't
this.
get the Jivan Mukti. What we are looking for is Jivan Mukti. That you have that, um, you have the joy of being that Purna being. In Vyavaharik life, if you are able to live your life with joy, no problem. But
Yes,
supposing the joy is not there, somebody says something to you, anything, Vyavaharik life can bump into our ego all the time.
yes, that is right. That is right.
Yeah, so it's only for that purpose you do this Nididhyasana, and how do and Shastra talks about it, the importance of it. Okay? The changing that Viparita Bhavana is very important. Otherwise, there is no phala. You
Yeah.
don't get the phala. Some people say you may get Videha Mukti, but Swami we doesn't agree to that. Then after you pass, you will get the joy of that. After you pass, if even if you cognitively understood, Swami V says no. The you need to, that understanding needs to take place at a very, very deep level, even at the subconscious level. That understanding should be there, and if that understanding is there at subconscious level, it will come out in your vyavahara.
No, what is this
That it
Vadayak?
is not there in the it doesn't come out in the vyavahara.
अभी आपने बताया विधायक मुक्ति. What is that? What that mean?
That is after death. After
हाँ
death
हाँ.
of the body, after the body leaves, you may get,
Mhm.
some people will argue that, oh no, you will get that mukti after you won't have Jivan Mukti, but you will get Videha Mukti. Now there are two schools of thought on Vedanta in that. Some schools will say, no, it has to be at a deep subconscious level Because in the causal body, the change, that understanding should take place at a deep subconscious level. It should take place, otherwise it will come, you will come back. So that anyway, we don't bother about that. We aim for Jivan Mukti. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, that's
Okay,
right.
it's 6:17 and we will need, you
30
know,
minutes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I will have one more orange juice. Okay. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Right, right.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ